Hi, my name's Jean Larson Ryan, and I'm going to be talking to you about how to make dog friends. I'd like to do a quick disclaimer and say that all of the photos in this slideshow were either taken by me or other employees at the dog facility I work at. And I do have written permission to use all these pictures in this school project. All right, so my goal for this is to provide you a basic knowledge of how to read behavioral cues in dogs in order to create successful play groups in the daycare and boarding kennel environment. We'll be talking about the whole stretch of things, everything from meeting the dog for the first time, then to introducing potential friends, what to do when they do get along and what to do when they don't get along, as well as other daycare and boarding tips and how to interact with situations you will encounter. First up is reading a dog. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you meet a dog is to get information about it. A lot of this information you'll either gain from the owner themselves or from the information the owners filled out, the paperwork you require for your facility. This information can be as mundane as the dog's name and age, to more complex things like how they'll interact with other dogs and any past fights they may have had or things that may change or alter their behavior at your boarding facility. Once you have met the owner and gotten all the information you think you can get out of the dog, it's time for their first day of daycare. Usually dogs will be a little bit nervous on their first day or two, and that's normal. Regardless of how unstressful you try and make your boarding facility, it's going to be stressful for a dog. You can play soothing music or have no dogs around at intake. However, dogs do pick up around 50 times more scents and signals than humans pick up. So the chances of you mitigating every single little stressor in their path is next to nothing. So once your dog's there and is a little bit stressed, you're going to want to watch for the changes that'll arise. A well-rounded dog next to their owner can very quickly turn into a shut-in who will snap at you if you try and grab her collar. And you don't want that. The best way to handle these situations is patience. Patience when possible. Another really good thing to do, or another good way to handle these situations is really great treats. We use a lot of Spam at my dog daycare. So once your dog has gotten comfortable here, they'll start to act more like this lovely Rottweiler over here. Her name's Pebbles. You can see she's pretty relaxed right now. She's got a nice little smile going on. She's just enjoying the snow. So your dog is getting calm here, and you're ready to make some dog friends. The first thing you're going to want to do is introduce dogs through a fence. Now, I don't have a good picture of this because it's usually not very exciting, so we don't really take pictures of it. You can see on the picture on the right side that there's a dog on the other side of the fence. She was going to be the third dog to introduce into this group once these two settled in. So you introduce dogs through a fence first, and this is because it gives them a chance to smell each other and get to know each other without actually having to interact with the dog, which mitigates, potentials for harm and other injuries. Once you've seen that dogs aren't too stressed out, you'll go ahead and open the gate. Then you just want to observe. The bottom picture I have here is of my dog Ranger and one of her dog friends Rhino. This was when they were first meeting in a neutral space. You can see he's running up on her a little bit more than she is, and I didn't know it then. I know it now that she's going to react a little defensively. She's not going to fight him or anything, but she isn't as into his rambunctious spirit as he is. So you found dogs that get along pretty well. What's next? You can just let them hang out. I'll go ahead and tell you about a couple different kinds of play really quick while we're here, just so you can tell what is good play and what is bad play. Dogs do play with their hands, their the weapons on their body, their mouths and their claws. And they do play a lot by imitating fighting techniques and wrestling techniques. This is pretty normal. It's how wild dogs would play, so it makes sense that this is the way that playing behaviors carry over into dogs. So the four main kinds of play are passive play, aggressive play, toy-based play, and human-based play. So a good example of passive play I have is actually the two pictures on the left. These two dogs are just chasing each other right now. This is passive play because they're not interacting physically. Usually chases end in a wrestle or something, so it ends in aggressive play, but it starts out just as nice passive play. Another example of passive play is these two dogs down on the bottom. They're play bowing. They're getting ready to do some aggressive play as well, but for the moment, it's passive. There is also plenty of passive play that isn't followed by aggressive play and just is chasing, and then they'll go ahead and break apart and do their thing. Now these two little dogs on the right are engaging in aggressive play. It's basically imitating fighting is aggressive play, where they're making contact with each other. Usually that's mouthing, wrestling, doing what they're doing. You'll see a lot of dogs meet up in that triangle shape. It's a great way for dogs to get out some energy. There's also toy-based playing. Now, at a lot of boarding and daycare facilities, they don't allow toys unless directly supervised, which is probably a good call. Toys really quickly can become resources and make a dog feel like they need to guard those resources, which can end in a fight really quick. The last kind of play we'll talk about is human-based play. That's exactly what it sounds like, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with it. It's where you play with your dog, you chase him around, you do play bows, stuff like that. The important things to keep in mind with human-based play is what might change once you leave. Are they still going to want to play with each other, the two dogs you're playing with, or are they going to be a little upset that you left and just be pouty? You just need to be constantly thinking of what your actions effects will be. If your dogs have had a good old romp, it's time for a nap. Most dogs are self-regulating in their rest needs, in that once they've had enough playtime, they'll go ahead and curl up in a corner or in a dog bed or a dog kennel or dog house. These are safe spaces for dogs, and they give them a chance to unwind and do a little bit of unpacking. Dogs need about 2 hours of rest for every 1 hour active playtime. So you'll generally see dogs who have been, play wrestling or chasing for 45 minutes to an hour, and then they'll go ahead and start splitting off and taking a little break. Now, there are dogs who don't self-regulate. The most common dogs who don't self-regulate are puppies and dogs who might be new to the daycare boarding environment. This is because they don't know what's going on yet, and they're just trying to figure it out. They don't know how to stop, and they don't know that if they stop, they'll get to play later, so they just want to keep playing. So the last thing we'll talk about is what to do when accidents happen. Regardless of what your line of work is, accidents will happen, and it can be a little serious when you're working with live animals, especially other people's pets. The most important things are just to stay calm and not let one emergency become two. Dogs respond really differently to pain, stress, and exhaustion than we people do, and so they exhibit these emotions differently, and that can create a lot of confusion with how to treat dogs that aren't feeling their best right now. All right, well, I think that's it. In closing, just take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Always err on the side of caution, and be a proactive and educated dog handler in order to have the best kennel facility you can have. Have a great day.